Yeah, so this is the enclosure. First of all, let me give it dimensions. This enclosure is 30 hectare-acres, and it's a walled precinct with only one entrance. There are 13 other what I call false entrances. You could only enter this necropolis, this complex, from the entrance that we're going to go through. Now, I want to tell you something, or give you some kind of background information of how this came to be, who it was constructed, who was the architect behind it. Some of you might have heard about him before, Imhotep. In the 3rd dynasty, somewhere around 2700 BC, architects began to construct burial places out of stone. Imhotep is not the first architect that actually used stone. So he followed in a tradition. That's why we talk about this place as being a lodge. He followed in a tradition of architects, of whom 2 names I'm going to make reference to, Kasekemwe and Konufor. These are the 2 major architects that we know on record. So Imhotep had the benefit of learning from these architects that preceded him. But these architects worked mainly in adobe, that is to say, blocks made out of mud and fiber. They were adobe. They used the sun. If you look behind there, you could see some of the adobe structures. Okay, so now, his responsibility as the vizier or the prime minister for King Zoser was to prepare King Zoser's burial complex. Now, as I said before, pharaohs were usually buried in mastabas. So Imhotep started out by building a mastaba, as was done in other cases in the southern part of Egypt, created mastabas to bury the pharaoh. And then, as part of his construction, he realized that the mastaba was not as elaborate and as stupendous for a pharaoh as great as Zoser. So he decided he was going to experiment by making another layer on top of it. And so what we call a pound cake, all right, to give you a reference point, he built 5 other mastabas, as we can see them there, 5 other mastabas in ascending order as it ascended to the pinnacle mastaba, which is now surrounded by scaffolding, and thus creating what we know as the first building, complete building, made out of stone. So this is you got a Jubilee court over there, great court, and this is the Hepset. Remember I was telling you about the paying obeisance to the gods and the goddesses. So when the pharaoh is finished running the symbolic marathon, comes over here and he goes into these kiosks here. There's one there, and there's several more here. Most of them are destroyed, but there are a few that are intact. So here we have one that is close to completion. It's not as destroyed as the others. The pharaoh would enter upon here and come into, I'm going to check out to see what's in here. Come into here. And here is the statue of the goddess.
Wow, very good statue. Very nice statue. Take a picture, yeah, take a picture. A picture of nothing. Stone.
There's nothing in here. Yeah.
It's pure stone. Like, how can you not like stone? It's like stone. Okay.
There is a complete kiosk, and then there's a statue sitting there waiting for you all to look upon his face.
It's supposed to be.
This is not. You're supposed to say nothing.
You see a very nice statue at the end.
Yes, now you have the narrative correctly. And we are now at this place situated called Dashur. And Dashur houses the first of the so-called true pyramids. Now, the creator of this pyramid is a pharaoh from the 4th dynasty. He begins the 4th dynasty around 2575 BC. His name is Senefru. He is the father of Khufu, grandfather of Khafra, and great-great-grandfather of Menkura. First of all, he has built the most pyramids. He's known to be the greatest builder of pyramids in all of Egypt. Someone from his family, somewhere along the line, must have been alive. Maybe he might have been just a very young child when the step pyramid was built, because it's out of the understanding and the experience of the step pyramid. He built a pyramid much further south from here, southwest from here. It would take us almost an hour to get it, but so we're not going to go see that. Now, that pyramid was a step pyramid similar to the one that we're going to go see in a few minutes, but it had its casing. Now, after having constructed that, he was not very happy, or I would say happy, he was not very satisfied that that would have been the final resting place, his necropolis. So he moved here at Dashur, and then he built the bent pyramid, which you're going to look at after viewing this one. But this pyramid is said to be called the true pyramid because it has all of the characteristics that we identify pyramids with. You have a base that is 722 feet long, squared, and a height of about 345 feet, which means it's like 34 stories high. This is the, as Amar said, this is the 3rd largest pyramid in all of Egypt. Yes, question.
At the beginning,
Yes.
it was a normal pyramid.
Yeah.
What caused it to need all of this?
Oh, this is modern day reconstruction.
Reconstruction.
Yeah, yeah.
Because without this, it would fall.
Yes, yes.
What caused it to need this?
Huh?
What happened for it to need this?
Oh, because the casings were removed and the limestone now is exposed to the weather, and limestone has a way of eroding over time. If you notice on the Sphinx, you have a number of ridges. Those ridges are as a result of us doing tourism, right? Carbon monoxide, you know, and all the other chemicals that are in our air wetters limestone. Listen, this is the future Dr. Hawass of Egypt coming up right here. All right, so are we ready? Yes. Just take our time, right? Don't rush this. This might look like it's a short way, but it's a pretty good way up, right? So let's take our time.
This boy. This man.
Over there. Now the reason for this is the device which holds up the rest of all those tons of stone above. This is the device that they use so that the stone doesn't come crushing down. It's called corbel vaulting. And it was introduced by, this particular technique was introduced by Senefru's, his architects. All right? If you turn around, you're going to see this cut stone, still limestone, but a different kind of limestone that you saw on the outside is a much more durable limestone.
What
It's got, huh?
What are these writing?
Or this is graffiti from modern times, right? They are cut and placed in there. This is what's called the Mogatum limestone. I introduced you to this before. But this is the device that holds this entire structure up into place. It's the antechamber, which means it is a chamber where the body would have rested for a while before it's taken into the sarcophagus area, and we have to ascend. Right? Remember, we ascended to come into the pyramid. We had a descent. Now we're in a plateau. Now we're going to ascend to go up to see where the Pharaoh's body would be placed to rest. The chamber. Now, this is stairway. So, let's go. Corbel vaulting. It's a vault. Crouch. And then we're climbing up. So here is more of the same element being used. The corbel vaulting. I don't need to tell you again about how finely cut these are and fitted.
Is this modern?
Yeah, this is modern. These stairways are modern. These chambers would not have been open to outsiders. Nobody could have gotten here once the Pharaoh was buried in here. It was closed. It was supposed to be sealed forever. For tourists. Yeah. Alright, so now we're going up. This is a piece of cake, people, compared to the physical exercise that we had before. Right? We're now into the 21st century type of experience of climbing stairways with banisters. Right? Now this is a pathway that leads us to the final areas. And you can still smell the 5,000 odd air that was enclosed in this area. The final resting place for sarcophagus of Sunem. Yes. Yeah, well, it's huge. Again, the corbel vaulting to make sure that the stone about the force of the stone does not come crashing down.
There's empty space here.
Remind you, this space should not have been accessed after the Pharaoh was buried. No one would have known where he was actually put to rest, but of course, grave robbers over centuries found and they ravaged and pillaged and destroyed. Yeah, this is a sacred space. So you're actually breathing the air of from 47,000 years.
I will complain about my knee, but I don't need to complain about my knee. I just complain about my back. Yeah.
All right, so now we are going to the pyramid that was built before this one. That is the bent pyramid. That's the pyramid that I'm pointing to, the step pyramid at Saqqara. Right, that's the first pyramid built out of stone. That's not only first pyramid built, so it's the first complete complex with temples and a whole number of other ancillaries. That's the first building. No other place in the world did any other human beings conceive of building a structure completely like that one. So whenever we talk about architecture, that is the prototype for all the architecture that you will find not only here in Egypt but all over the world. All right? Okay, any more questions? Now we're going to the bent pyramid first. Now, the bent pyramid is a forerunner to the true pyramid which we just came from, in actuality, right? And this pyramid, if you notice, it does not have a continuous slope. Sif asked me, why is it called a bent pyramid? So let me explain to you now, right? If you notice at the bottom, right, from the bottom angle, that bottom angle is 74 degrees. And then it bends in a little. You notice that? At 27 degrees. And then it opens up again at 44 degrees. And then it goes further back in at 21 degrees. So you do not have a continuous hypotenuse. Geometry people, right? Huh? Yeah, huh? Yes, like a zigzag, right? But in a real triangle, you have a hypotenuse, right? I see the young ones shaking their heads, right? Y'all remember, y'all leave school too long, right? Okay, so now again, right? You notice that this, the same masonry. Masonry comes out of Egypt. We're not talking about Freemasonry here. We're talking about masonry. And the masons were the builders who were the ones who actually fitted the stones when they were brought from the quarry. Now, again, if all things were being equal and we were back some 4,500 years, you would have seen a smooth limestone casing. That is what was supposed to be on the pyramids at the Giza Plateau as well. But we don't. Here we have fragments, or well, I would say fragments. We have large areas of the face, the four faces of the pyramid that do indeed have the casing. So pyramids were not built to expose the actual core, the building blocks. They were built to be covered by a casing. Except, there's always an exception in Egypt and in life in general. Except for the step pyramid built by Imhotep at Saqqara never had a casing. Here we are, the famous bent pyramid. It's now become famous because we are now rediscovering it. I'm sure that we don't see it in the books. When they do documentaries, they don't show you this at all. They just make you feel like some aliens came from outer space, and they built the three pyramids at the Giza Plateau. I wanted my groups from this point forward to see the entire evolution. It didn't just happen overnight. It took, as a matter of fact, from the step pyramid of Saqqara to the pyramids at Giza, there is about approximately 1 century of building before they were able to master all of the techniques, the architectural tectonics of pyramid building. So pyramid building has its precedence in a long line of architects. Senefru, this is one of 3 of the pyramids. He's the greatest builder of pyramids in Egypt. And you never heard his name before. Good, very good. So you have 1, 2, right, in the entire group. Senefru, right, greatest builder. We are going to see another great builder, but this builder did not build pyramids. That's Ramses II. Let me go further south. The Black Pyramid looms like about a couple of miles away. It's so big, right, that it seems like as though it's right there. What you see there is a core. Remember I was telling you yesterday about all pyramids have a core? Right. So that's what you're looking at there, and that was built during the Middle Kingdom. What we're talking about here, the bent pyramid, the true pyramid, Zoser's pyramid and all, those were in the Old Kingdom. Zoser's pyramid, 3rd dynasty. Senefru's buildings were in the 4th dynasty, and so are the 3 pyramids on the Giza Plateau. All right, so all your dreams have come true now, right? Yep. You've seen the 2 of the 3 pyramids on the horizon. The large one in front of which we stand is Khufu's pyramid. This pyramid was built during the 4th dynasty, and that's like about 60 years after Senefru's pyramid. But I'm going to give you the entire story about the development of pyramids. We're in what is called the pyramid zone. There's approximately 108 pyramids in this area, many of which are now bereft. You won't be able to see. But as we go around, you will see the satellite pyramids around Khufu's pyramid. But listen, I could say a whole lot about pyramids, but why did these Nile Valley Africans decide they were going to build pyramids? There's a rationale for this, right? The reason is, when you look at the landscape as we go further south, you will see the natural formation of pyramids. I know if you see things looking like that in your environment, and if you're a culture that pays close attention and use things in your environment as symbolic references, then a pyramid seems to be like a natural progression. But that's a kind of a whitewash description of it. Now, pyramids were built as resurrection machines for pharaohs. That is to say, when the pharaoh when he's alive, is called Horus, Heru. He, at the point of his death, he was placed into the pyramid, and then he becomes Osiris. All of this Asar, all of this now is still going to be somewhat hazy to you, but as I get further into the tour, you get to understand this more clearly. So the symbol of the pharaoh is the falcon. They chose the falcon because the falcon is the bird that flew the highest and can view from everything around. Another symbol that is related to the pharaoh is the sun, because the sun and the falcon, the consummation of the two, gives this god king. He was a god incarnate in the human flesh. But pyramid building started long before they got to the Giza Plateau. As a matter of fact, some 4,000 years before pyramids were built, the people in the southern part of Egypt, you heard Amar talk yesterday about the two lands, Lower Egypt and Upper Egypt. Well, the people particularly in Upper Egypt, they built what was called mastabas. Again, tomorrow we're going to say mastaba. A mastaba is simply it's an Arabic word which means bench. But what it is, right? It's a construction that has a subterranean shaft in which the body is placed. It has 4 slanting side walls and a rectangular top. So the idea of building the mastaba was to preserve the body, and so all of the royalty and the kings of ancient times were placed in these mastabas because they were revered. But mastabas were not built out of brick. Mastabas were built out of mud brick. So I know that you know about in your Bible stories about the slaves, the children of Israel were enslaved and they had to make bricks out of stone and so forth and build pyramids. You could look around, there's nothing here as a mud brick. This pyramid, this gigantum, that occupies a space of 13 acres, 13.1 acres to be exact, right, belongs to a large complex in which you will find other structures like temples. You have the mortuary temple. That is the place where the pharaoh's body is interned for 70 days in the process of mummification. And there were other things around here. But more importantly, let's talk about the limestone. Limestone was used because limestone is still plentiful in this area. And the reason for choosing limestone, besides it being plentiful and they have access to it, is that limestone was a stone and still remains a stone that will last into eternity. One of my famous things that I tell people, right, how many buildings in Manhattan is more than 48 stories high? Not a whole lot. And this was built when there was no jackhammers, no cranes, none of the hydraulic tools that we have today. It was actually constructed out of the genius of the African mind. I want to allay any of the confusion. Let's go over and touch the actual stone to make sure it's not mud brick. So let's go over. Now when you go, you see that entryway there, where people are going in? That takes you up to both the king's and the queen's chambers. These are hanging structures. They are hanging. And to get to the king's chamber, it's 18 stories high. But take it to the king's chamber. The queen's chamber is below. It's a marvelous feat of engineering where they were able to build these chambers and they are hanging. We still don't understand some of the mechanics that were brought to bear on them to have these tons of tons hanging on the inside. Now every pyramid has a core. And we know that there's a core because some of the organic materials that were used in the core still remain, like some of the fibers, some of the charcoal that they used, and so forth, still remain. The core is the central part. The core is the central part of the pyramid that holds it up. So this is not a hollow structure. This structure is very formidable and is very, very compact with all this volume of stone. Pyramids were always, and temples are always built on the west bank of the Nile River. The east bank, you know, remember when we came over, we crossed the river? And Amato, you crossed the Nile River? All the land across that river is west, right? The east bank where the sun rises is the land of the living, the land of the rising sun. The west bank, where you have all the mortuary temples and all the funerary complexes, including the pyramids, is on the west bank because this is viewed symbolically as the land of the dead.